Hi, everybody. There's two things that have really struck me just being here this evening. One about women and one about Asian Americans. So one about women. When I was in college at a different UC campus than this one, I participated in a debate. And the title of that debate was Women's Liberation, Pro or Con? So how far have women come now that not only is that kind of like an old joke, like did they have electricity then, but also that you can have something like this, a celebration of Asian American women at Berkeley tonight. And then a second interesting thing has been how different the Asian American community has evolved in its complexity now. And that was really shown to me by the title of the film, The Next Sunrise. Now, in my parents' generation, no one in the Asian community would have ever used the phrase, the next sunrise, because it sounds too much like the rising sun of Imperial Japan, and would have been angrily fought against by people who were Chinese or Filipino or Korean or other countries that experienced the brutality of Imperial Japan. And in my generation, we wouldn't have used that term because although we didn't have those experiences, we knew it would bother people in our parents' generation. And now in this generation, those memories and those wars have given way to new kinds of memories and of different wars and of different immigration experiences. So the complexity of our community really has struck me here today. I'm actually here, though, to tell you that I don't want you to try to be leaders. And that's because we have enough people in the world who want to be leaders, to tell you the truth. But those aren't the people who get to be leaders. And it's kind of the similar thing that we have enough people in the world, for example, who want to be famous rock stars. But the people that get to be famous rock stars are the people who are so busy concentrating on making the best music they possibly can that they aren't paying attention to whether they're getting famous or not. We have a lot of people in this country who want to be rich or retire early, but the people who actually get to be rich and retire early are the people who are so disciplined about engineering and about writing and about science that they invent great things and write great things, and that ends up making them successful. So I helped found a group in the Bay Area called Women Nonprofit Leaders of Color. And among other things, we learned from this group that there are about 200 nonprofit women executive directors of color in the Bay Area. Of these women leaders, about 40% were born in a different country than the United States, although most came here relatively young. But maybe the most important thing I learned from this group of people is that they focus on what's great and what helps us by being women of color, not the obstacles that are in front of us. So maybe there are more obstacles for women of color in the United States than there are for others, but because we face them and because we have the histories that we do, we're much better equipped to deal with them as well. And we're much better equipped to make the changes in our world that really need to happen. Now, there's a book right now called Under the Dragon, and it comes from the idea that this reporter, a white reporter, was covering a Chinese New Year's Day parade, and he wanted to interview some of the kids that were underneath the Chinese dragon. And when he did that, he discovered that only half of them were Chinese, that there were African Americans and Latinos and other kinds of kids underneath the dragon, and that one of the things that our cultures are today is welcoming to others, as well as proud of our own cultures. So I want to tell you just two things that I think are emblematic of the challenges that we face in this country, one about race and one about poverty and how they come together. So do you know what it means to be considered poor in today's America? A family of four needs to have an income, a total household income for a family of four of no more than what one person working full-time would make who earned $10.10 an hour. That's really poor, and to be considered officially poor in this country, that has to be your household income for a family of four, no more than what a full-time person would make who earned $10.10 an hour. And even given how incredibly low that level of poverty is, it's still the case that 1 in every 8 Asian children in the United States lives in a family that is that poor. And just like under the dragon, there's all kinds of people of different races and different cultures, it is just as much our issue that even though there are 1 in 8 Asian children live in a family that poor, there are 1 in 3 black children who live in a family that poor. But up against that kind of intersection between race and poverty, I think is one of the greatest resources in our country, and I know I'm not biased when I say this, Asian American women. So against the issues of race and poverty, discrimination, and prejudice, what we have going for us are the histories like those we've heard today, the families like we've heard about today. We have our terrific smarts, we have our incredible discipline, we have great hair, we have the politeness of Asian women, and we have the sassy fuck you aspects of Asian women. And most of all, we have our generous hearts. And all of those things are what we will bring, not just to making better lives for ourselves and our families, but for everybody in this country to which we have come. Thank you.